Marty Lucas, he made it in. I know I didn't disclose exactly what, but we've been talking about the race. Oh, can you hear me okay? Okay. So tell us a little bit more about yourself. So my questions, you might have to do this in 15 minutes.
Yeah, sorry I'm late. You knew what happened, right?
Yeah, I've been talking about you. So
Okay.
a little bit about yourself, why you're running, what you've done and what you're going to do, and why people should vote for you in the Republican race for District 1 Congress in Indiana.
Okay, first of all, my name is Martin Lucas. I'm originally from the south side of Chicago. I was, for those familiar with Chicago, it was the South Shore, South Chicago neighborhoods. Graduated from Mount Carmel High School in Chicago.
That was cool.
I went on to graduate from DePaul University. I received a Bachelor's of Science in Finance from DePaul. So if you fast forward now, 17 years ago, my wife, daughter, and myself, we moved to Cherville, Indiana. I'm very happy we made the move. I consider myself a Hoosier now. I really like Indiana. We enrolled our daughter at St. Michael's School in Cherville. She has since, graduated since then.
Lake Central?
She goes Andrean now, actually.
Okay.
But I'm still involved with St. Michael's Parish. I'm a Eucharistic minister. I'm a member of their finance committee. I'm a Knights of Columbus. I'm also part of their school, like financial aid. And just to give a good example about how well the Republican administration is doing in Indiana, if anybody wanted to send their child from a public school to a private school, let's say St. Paul's here or whatever, and they said that the tuition was too high, a year ago, in order to qualify for any type of financial aid, a family of 4 would have to make less than $40,000. Now fast forward this year, it's $147,000 for a family of 4. And before coming, I did look for what it would cost somebody in the Valparaiso School District. So they would get roughly $5,300 towards tuition. Obviously, they wouldn't get it, the school would get it.
Mm-hmm.
But for anybody who has objection where they want to send their child to a private school, but they always said it costs too much, I just want to make people aware that that's out there for them.
Well, I know it's a hot topic, and we all pay for education, and sometimes in areas the education isn't always there. So this gives folks a way to do it. I know it's a hot button.
Yeah,
so
it's a choice. It's a choice that people can make. So I am in favor of that type of
okay.
program.
So what made you want to run for Congress?
Okay.
And I know that I read those 2 things and I mentioned them, so say them again.
Okay, so I'll lead up with what, finish up about myself, I'll tie right in. So, like I said, we came to Cherville, I'm involved with St. Michael's, and then I also went back to school. So I received the MBA from Purdue, Northwest campus there. Yes.
I'm in the basketball.
Okay, I read about you too.
We have a mutual friend too, we'll talk about him later.
Okay. So anyways, I work for IBM then, and what I do at IBM is I'm in the product development, software delivery. So I'm a consultant on the AT&T account. So basically I talk with AT&T executives if they have a product that they want to add features to or expand the footprint where they could sell it. My job is to take those ideas, and then I work with software engineers, software architects, etc., and we turn that concept into an application that can actually be configured, ordered, priced, and built correctly. So people have asked me, with your background, why do you want to get in politics?
Yeah, exactly.
So basically, I'm a concerned U.S. citizen. I love the United States. The United States is built on democracy and capitalism. And I don't think those 2 institutions are as strong as they should be. And I think much of that has to do with what's going on in Washington. If you were just to ask people, what do you think of politicians? You usually get negative replies. They'll say they're either self-serving, all talk, no action, or they're all the same. And that last part, they're all the same, there's like a disconnection between Washington perspective and the voters' perspective. And I wanted to enter because we're not all the same. So I believe firmly in term limits. I'm not in this race at all to be a career politician. Also, there's a lifetime ban on myself and all my family members from ever becoming lobbyists.
I just run into a bunch of them in Indy.
Yeah, and I would hope that would be the standard within Washington.
Because if you run, then you can't then, or if you serve, you can't then be a lobbyist.
You're not going to be able to cash in at all.
I just think it's also on the flip side when you're running and you're serving people or you're indebted to people or they're talking to you. I've often thought of that too because they're always in your ear.
Yeah, and there are times where sometimes you wonder if the politician really got in there just for a stepping stone to be a lobbyist, because that's where you get much more money. But to be a lobbyist, you would.
Should we have lobbyists?
Well, yeah, the profession of lobbyist is fine because they're helping, their clients, etc. Where the conflict would come in is with career politicians then also, because the lobbyist will create a relationship where when you think about it, how did he or she get in front of the politician, actually sit with them out of all the people in the world?
It's a little.
They grew a relationship in order to do that. So why I want the politicians and their family banned is because if a politician is in there for several years, he has created relationships with the other politicians, and lo and behold, he's a perfect lobbyist.
And it's not always for the good of everybody.
Exactly.
Why Congress and why not town council?
Well, I only have the issue at Washington. I mean,
he's happy everywhere else. It's just Washington.
I moved in from Chicago, Illinois, into Indiana, and you just compare the two. The Democratic-controlled Illinois, they have all these budget problems, they're in debt, et cetera, et
Well,
cetera.
I'm trying to look at the good of each group. I mean, because if you just pull Chicago, it's a little tough there.
Well, Illinois in general,
Yeah, that's
the financial situation in Indiana is much stronger. We're even giving out refunds back to several of the taxpayers. And I already mentioned how they changed the choice scholarships from 40,000 to 247,000. I'm happy living in Indiana. Washington, I have problems.
Yeah, there's other areas that people are like, well, we have some, maybe we should give a little bit into some other, but that's probably more on the state level. But going to Washington, so have you thought about maybe talking to the people who are representing right now?
Yeah, well, people have asked me, okay, well, you don't have, the experience. How do you make up for not having that experience? Well, if you look at the tenure of the Congress people and those in the Senate right now, that's probably one of the longest, they have the most time involved, and yet where are we at? It's not efficient, and the national debt is over $30 trillion. And I don't think people realize how much $30 trillion is. So I'll put it in terms of time. So if $1 equals 1 second, and you were to go back in time 30 trillion seconds, do you want to take the guess how far back you go? I got the, it's
Probably
not,
thousands of years.
it's 950,000 years. So we're all the way back in prehistoric times. But if you look then at the politicians in Washington, and you take a look at their net worth when they first entered the office, and the longer they're in office, their net worth continues to go higher, higher, and higher, yet the country goes deeper and deeper in debt.
Well, there were times throughout history recently that we've had a balanced budget, but sometimes you wonder, okay, what are we giving up for that? So as a Congress, why would people vote for you?
Well,
Because the election is May 3rd,
yes.
so we don't have much time. So
Right.
tell people why you need to vote for. Do you go by Martin or Marty?
Either one, it doesn't matter.
So what is your website?
The website is www.votelucas, VOTELUCAS.com, and that will show where I'm at.
How do you spell your last name?
LUCAS.
Okay, I spelled it right. I was like, oh boy, I might have spelled that wrong. Why should people vote for you? Because you've got some opponents
Correct.
in the Republican.
If you, and I've met all of them, they're nice, very nice people. The only thing I would say that differentiates me, well, several things, but mainly is I'm the only one talking about term limits. If you look at it, I'm the only one entering this race, not for any personal career advancement. I'm doing this strictly because I'm passionate about the term limits and correcting issues I have in Washington.
So how long would you serve then? Because it's 2 years for Congress,
Right.
how long would you serve then?
I actually signed, there's a pledge that there's a organization, Term Limits for
Correct.
Commerce.
Oh, okay, there's a different pledge I thought of.
I signed the pledge. The pledge would say 3 terms for a congressman, which would be 6 years, 2 terms for a senator, which would be 12 years. Now, in my specific case, if I did serve for 6 years, due to my circumstances, I would qualify for the pension, and I don't want the pension. So I'm only gonna go for 2 years. I'm not in this for any
you're-
personal financial gain.
And you're gonna make enough of an impact in 2 years?
4 years, two
Oh,
terms.
2 terms, 4 years,
Yes.
even in 4 years? Because I think that's their argument, is like, we're effective, because they're in there.
Well, a couple of things to address that. First of all, it deals with relationships, communications, etc. So I would immediately be talking to the other state representatives. Many of them are Republican. I would be talking with the staffs in Washington, D.C. I'd be talking to the other members of Congress and the lobbyists even. Lobbyists really know how Washington works to gather information. Now, I'm not going to be, what they say, dialing for dollars and spending time trying to raise campaign money. And in fact, I'm going to
Because you're funding this all yourself, aren't
yes,
you?
I am up to
And
it.
that's very admirable.
Yes, because part of that is just stating there's too much money in politics.
I tend to.
Because if you look at the term career politician, just the word career means you're in this for life. And that's what I do not agree with that. Because if you're in this for life and this is your career, then your number one goal is to get elected and reelected and reelected, because that's your goal, that's your career. And that becomes the number one rather than serving the people.
I think there are some folks that can do it well, but it probably is difficult. It is, it's a difficult road, and you have to keep checking yourself.
2.5 minutes.
2.5
Okay,
minutes. Anything else that's
Well,
really
one
important?
other-
Can we go over 8 minutes? Are we allowed to go, over 8 o'clock?
A few minutes.
Yeah, we can take a
So
little bit of
the
time.
other advantage with term limits is that you would rotate people, because like I previously pointed out, people have a negative connotation with politicians, but the government now has to reach out education, healthcare, technology, all these different fields. And if you were able to rotate the politicians on a regular basis, you would get more people wanting to enter politics, and you would get people who specialize or have passion about healthcare education. And I think you'd have a much better, competent, let's say, Congress, rather than being lifetime politicians who are very good at politics, but not knowing the specifics of what they're dealing with.
It's a hard balance, but I do agree that, and I would hope that they could bring in some folks that if they're not, but I do feel that when we were studying this, that it's about power, and sometimes people in power aren't always for the people.
Well, it comes down to money, because if you look at, like I said, people have a negative connotation for politicians. You hear people throw all of themselves.
So why don't we call us public servants?
I'm not negative about politicians at all. I don't want people to get that wrong idea. But people are so negative about them, yet the incumbents are reelected at over a 90% rate.
I think it's because people don't vote. They think that their voice counts sometimes, so they don't go.
Yeah, I think it has more to do with money, because they're able, the incumbent first has the name recognition, and then secondly, they're able to raise through lobbyists, etc., all this money. So then, instead of dealing with platform, it could just be a marketing blitz with name recognition.
Oh, that's it?
Here's the television ads. Here's the radio ads. Here's the newspaper
Well, that's
ads.
why you're here to that's what I like about this show. We're trying to bring people in to hear all the, it's the person, not necessarily the party or.
Exactly,
or-
and I truly appreciate the opportunity. But
So what will you do? Tell me some of the things you would like to do when and if you'd go to Washington DC.
well, the first thing I would do is I would listen. I think that's one of the main things that the congressman could do. So I would be talking with the businesses, I'd be talking with the people, I would be talking with the state government officials. So we're all on the same page as far as what a strategy is and what you want from Washington.
And what would you do for District 1? So Lake County, Porter County, and a little bit of Michigan
Well,
City.
again, it would go back to talking to businesses, the people, the nonprofits, etc. I would be talking with the steel mills, talking what they want, etc. So it's a matter of first listening to what people want rather than Washington dictating onto them, here's what we're going to do.
So I've been, like, in the past, well, my whole life, but a lot these past years with the pandemic, living wage jobs. How about those? Healthcare, living wage jobs.
Healthcare,
Okay.
healthcare.
What kind of healthcare are we talking about? Are you talking about universal, or is it still private pay? Like, I'm trying to go a little deeper with you.
From a healthcare standpoint, you still have to cover the people who have existing conditions. That has to be a given. As far as trying to lower the prescription cost, the buying power that the government has from the sheer volume, they should be leveraging that.
1.5, yeah.
Okay.
They should be leveraging that with the different pharmaceutical companies to negotiate a much better price for the people. Also, I'm more in favor for like a block grant rather than the way they have where you give a block grant to the state for the healthcare.
Okay.
So you have to be, I'm fiscally conservative. You have to audit. You have to audit because the government many times is just strictly going to throw money at a problem without ever following up. First of all,
What if we have good people heading it up? If you got the funds, and then you would head it up.
yeah, well, you
And audit.
definitely audit it, but I would also, like with my IBM background, I would have auditors and I would have software developers, the two of them working together. And the reason for that is the auditors are going to go through the process to find whatever waste, fraud they can, etc.
So we've got a minute. So
Okay.
I'm going to say there's big things going on. So there's issue on your website. There's all the issues:
Yes.
family, healthcare, education,
Yes.
life,
Yes.
gun practices.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Second Amendment, I'm pro-life. I've got many
Okay.
postcards are coming in.
Oh, good,
that
good,
are
good,
coming
good.
in I am pro-life. The exception I would have though would be rape, incest,
Okay,
or if the mother's life is in danger.
I agree with
As
that.
far as I favor the Second Amendment, so I do not want to take any people's guns away, etc.
Okay, so I don't want either, but we just don't want to have them in the hands of people who shouldn't have them.
That's
There
correct.
you go. Okay.
Because if you look, Chicago has some of the strictest gun laws in the country, yet they still have all this crime.
It's because they're not being implemented.
Yeah, you stole my line. That's exactly what I was gonna say.
So,
Exactly.
last thing, we're gonna close out here. So, Martin Lucas, Congress, D1, in the primaries, May the 3rd. So you'd have to pick, you have to declare as a Republican and you'd be one of the choices.
Yes,
Okay.
and for Democrats who like what I'm saying, you can still vote in the primary for Republican.
That is correct.
And what I lack, I truly believe I have one of the best platform out of the candidates. What I lack is name recognition. So I need people to remember
Lucas
my
Oil
last
Stadium.
name. That's it, Lucas Oil Stadium, George Lucas, who makes Star Wars,
Okay.
Cabo San Lucas.
Okay, there you
So
go.
it's Lucas, remember Lucas,
Lucas,
term limits,
Lucas,
Lucas, May 3rd, vote Lucas, and that's the website, vote Lucas. So I've said it
I'm
over and
so
over.
glad you made it in. And thanks
I am.
everybody for watching. Remember, you can, I said it at the beginning of the show, have a great week and we'll see you again, well, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday for Ron Seaman.